Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. Today, we're discussing a U.S. market limited edition of 10 pieces from 2017. In fact, it was even more exclusive than that description implies, as the watch was only available at the New York City Patek Philippe Grand Exhibition, a spectacular show of fully 1/4 of the museum collection, the entire current catalog, and a number of elite craft arts, including enameling, miniature painting, engraving, and yes, what you see right here, wood marquetry. So only available at the exhibition. The watch you're looking at features America's Grand Canyon, and the timepiece was constructed of over 200 pieces of wood and 20 different varieties to create the image of America's natural wonder. And that was the theme of all of the watches and clocks, Americana. So the watch, technically speaking, does have a reference and it does have a name. It's the Calatrava 5089G-066 Grand Canyon, only available in New York in 2017 when Patek not only had all the watches I mentioned, they built an indoor 3-story building with 10 separate exhibition rooms. It was stunning, but if you couldn't be there, at least relive the best part of it with this watch. So 38.5 millimeters in diameter in white gold, really gray gold, the good stuff that never needs rhodium plating. From lug tip to lug tip, 46 millimeters, 9.1 millimeters thick as I measure it, with a 21 millimeter spacing as I measure between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, it wears beautifully. The strap has not been broken in, so it's stiff and I'm pulling it down tight. The watch is not as big as it looks because I'm shrinking my wrist around it here. So I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. So yes, a lady could wear this. It's ultra flat. It has a bezel that's almost completely flat. Think 5107 and you get the general idea. It's very similar to the 5107 in that regard. And you can see down the barrel where the lugs really are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, and the cuff shot easily sliding underneath a sleeve. Remember that over-the-top shot always exaggerates the width of the watch. A wonderful high-grade strap, large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator, always the most expensive cut of the beast. Medium brown, high gloss. We have here a folded edge, a monotone stitch, calfskin lining on the bottom, a factory strap in outstanding condition. Look at this, no crimping, no gouging here. We have a simple white gold spade-style pin buckle. And then, as you can see, this features Patek's latest pull tab spring bars. You pull the tab, pop the strap off the case without any tools required, so you don't scratch the lugs here. You can also see that they brought over the hidden hinge from the 5227, as it's very easy to miss the fact that this caseback is a hunter caseback that opens up to reveal what's inside. We'll get there. But this is a rare Patek Philippe that really is all about the dial and not the movement. Taking a quick look, you can see that the case is relatively simple, Calatrava style, with integrated lugs that have a little bit of a taper and rounded end to them. They're narrow when viewed end on. We have a crown with the Calatrava cross, the symbol of the brand. Everything's in high polish. The bezel is slightly inset from the case band, vertical and then very flat. It's conical, but only just. The dial. Now let's talk about this dial. Marquetry does not necessarily involve wood, but that is probably the best known manifestation of the craft that involves first drawing an image to be portrayed and then selecting the type of wood and or material, whatever material is used, and then cutting it down to create the forms of the image. So every different color you see here is a different wood. 20 different varieties of wood went into this river and canyon scene, and then between 200 and 210 pieces, individual pieces of wood went into this dial. Of course, you're going to realize, this being a handcraft, no two of the 10 pieces made will be absolutely exactly the same. These pieces are not cut with a jig, a laser, a drill, or a machine or an engine of any kind. They're cut by hand, they're placed by hand, making the extraordinary tolerances and absence of gaps between the materials all the more spectacular. The hands are white gold, and I did my best to put them in a position that shows you as much of the dial as possible. I'll show you what was obscured right there just because. You can see that the Dauphines are high polish white gold. They'll never tarnish or oxidize. Under the case back, we have a premium Patek automatic. When this watch came out, it was 40 years since the debut of the Patek Philippe 240 micro rotor, and through that period, the center rotor automatics were generally the mass-produced movements for entry-level automatic watches, and then elite pieces, generally complications, or watches like the Golden Ellipse that needed to be very thin, received the micro rotor. And so here we have the micro rotor. The caseback can be customized. You see it's mirror finished internally. This one has not been altered. The movement is 27.5 millimeters in diameter. It features a 22-karat micro rotor that keeps everything thin because the rotor and all of the winding mechanism, they're in the same plane as the rest of the drivetrain. The other thing about a micro rotor is it gives you the convenience of an automatic and, yes, the thin profile of a manual, but also an open caseback vista, as we don't cloak the movement in a winding bridge and a rotor. So you have a big open visible movement. You could see ceramic ball bearings for utmost efficiency of winding, a free-sprung Gyromax style balance, Patek Philippe's invention, another exclusive, a technology they helped to develop in the mid-2000s, silicon hairsprings. This is Spiromax, so a highly anti-magnetic hairspring right here. There are some adhesive elements on the back of this case, so don't hold that against it. And then you can see that it is a movement that's been adjusted in an uncompromising 6 positions, one more than a standard chronometer, and that it all pivots on 27 joules. You can also appreciate the finishes to a high degree. The movement was quoted as no less accurate than -3 + 2 seconds per 24 hours when it first came out, has a 48-hour power reserve and a 3 hertz beat rate. You can see the bevels are beautifully mirrored, that there are little locating pegs that help to locate bridges on the base plate, and they are polished on their top. We have lovely luminous abrasive wheel Côte de Genève laid down by an abrasive striper, not stamped, engine turning on the base plate, satination on the wheels, and even a partridge eye internal bevel on the sinks for the jewels. Take another quick look. You can see all screw heads polished with chamfered slots in circumference. A credit to its maker, yes, 30 meters water resistant, but please don't test the theory. However, this watch is all about the dial, a unique work of art, and only 9 other people in the world will ever have the pleasure of this view. Even then, there will be detail differences. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.